Welcome to the Sales Leader of Influence show. For sales leaders who lead with soul, spirit, and spine. In a world obsessed with tactics, this is the show for those who know leadership is personal. And here's your host, Bernadette McClellan.
Hey there, and welcome to yet another episode of the Sales Leader of Influence show. Well, how has your week been? Because I cannot believe another week has just flown by. And this week I want to delve into a theme that is kind of flowing on from the past few episodes, and it's really digging deep into, I guess, the meta code of the way that we think and the way we feel, and it really does all impact on pipeline, and it impacts on the way you as a sales leader relate to your sales team, and at the end of the day, it's how you and your team generate revenue. And we tend to think about pipeline and scoreboards and revenue generation as really, tactical. But look at the bottom line is we've really got to look at the way that we process, the way that we interact with ourselves and with other people. And so where today's episode was triggered was with a conversation last week, and I had a conversation with a sales leader, and it was a normal conversation, and the question was basically around me asking the question is like, where do your salespeople, when it comes to discovery or when it comes to the initial conversation, where do they kind of like focus in on? Is it needs or is it wants? And the sales leader said, well, and I agree with him, is that most of our sales training has been around needs. It's like you kind of discover what someone's needs are. And so I thought today, and I've given it some thought, and I thought, okay, let's dig in a little deeper into the world of needs and wants. But I don't want to focus it on the sales side of things, although you can overlay it, okay? So I want to look through the lens of you as a sales leader to start with. Yes, your sales team, because this will be of interest to your sales team, but also from just us living our lives, because I think that this is a really interesting deep dive into uncovering what it means when we talk about needs. And so if we wind this back a little bit and we think, okay, what's a need? What is a need? And I'll ask you that question, and I want you to think about that outside of this episode, and it could be a conversation that you have with your team as well. What is a need? And so think for a moment of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Think for a moment of Tony Robbins' 6 core human needs. Think of Dr. Claire Graves' spiral dynamics. And you think about where it all stems from, and it's our basic human needs, and they are what we use for survival. I mean, our needs are what we survive on, whether it's air, whether it's water, whether it's shelter, whether it's reproduction, whatever it may be, whether it's certainty, whether it's security, whether it's stability, predictability. All of these things are what we as human beings rely on to survive. So these are our needs. Now, if we think for a moment, where do we focus? Because if we're sitting here today and we're either listening to this on a podcast station, we're either watching it on YouTube, we're either watching it on LinkedIn Live, our needs are being met. Our human needs are clearly being met. Or we've got technology in front of us. we have food, we have shelter, our human needs are being met. And yet we go around the world and we are every single day, we are focusing as though our needs are not being met. We are making all these assumptions. We are focusing on what we haven't got. We are almost living and talking and focusing as though we are in survival mode because we are focusing on what we don't have. And so we are using language, we are interacting, we are behaving in a way that is based on need. And so when we feel under pressure, and as a sales leader, where I'm coming from here is that every month you will be under some form of pressure. I do not know a sales leader at the end of every month who is not under some kind of pressure. And you think about the pressure that you're under because you are not making your numbers. Gotta make my numbers. You need to make your numbers. Salespeople, you've got to make the appointments. You need to have your pipeline. You need to pay your bills. If you're out of a job, you need to get the next job. We live in this space of need. So we are living in this pressure environment, and sales leaders, the statistics we know as far as stress is concerned, the average tenure of a sales leader is 18 months in the job. So clearly this pressure pot that you're in is filled with you living in survival mode. So we will feel this. This pressure will show up in your body. For me, it's in my back. And so somewhere it will show up in your body, and it is this heavy feeling. And so when you feel this heavy feeling, there is resistance. Okay, so you may think that it's the circumstance of not making your numbers, when in actual fact, take the circumstances away, it's actually a need that you have. There is a need, and that need is causing this resistance. And so if you think about it for a moment, this resistance that you're feeling is causing constriction, it's causing panic, it's causing a tightness, and where you're focusing either in the past, where you're saying, I should have done that. Oh God, I wish I hadn't have done that. I could have done that. I'm blaming here. Or it's focusing on the future, where you're filled with anxiety because my numbers aren't getting made. That's never going to happen. I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage or whatever. So where I'm coming from here is we're talking pressure. Now, where I want you to focus for a moment, and I don't want you to take this as fluff or woo-woo or anything like that. I want you to listen in for a moment. When you feel this, I want you to do one thing. I want you to give yourself permission to actually push that to the side and to come in right here and to focus for a moment only on the present. Now, you may resist that again, and if you resist that, I would challenge you and I would say, what is the need that you are feeling by resisting this suggestion? Because there will be a need. And so when you can focus right now, nothing else exists except this moment. And in this moment, there will be an opportunity for you. Now, in this moment, I want you to think for a moment of what you already have. What is already there? So if you have no money, okay, I've been bankrupt. I know what that feels like. So everything I'm sharing with you, I am coming from, I've been there. So it's not as though I'm just talking out of a textbook. In that moment where you may have no money, you have assets. Sell them. Bring more money in that way. If at the moment you don't have a job, reach out to somebody outside of the recruiters that never get back to you. There is a network you will have. Maybe it means you have to swallow your pride, or maybe it may mean that you have to ask for help. So maybe it means that your ego needs to take a back seat. If your numbers aren't being met, I'm telling you, if you sit there in the present moment and you look inside, that opportunity is there. Your pipeline will have opportunities, lost accounts that perhaps you haven't visited for whatever reason. Pride, fear, embarrassment. There will be lost accounts. There will be new accounts that you haven't reached out to. There will be old accounts that you simply haven't bothered about. Like I remember having an account that I didn't visit for a year, years ago, because I had a vision in my mind that it was some dusty little, it was Dockyard's place that I pictured this silly little printer. Well, one day it was a beautiful sunny day. I decided to drive over the bridge for a coffee and I'd just drive there and say I'd been. Well, it was a multi-level building. I ended up winning the business. There was something like 40 copiers. So that was an opportunity. And here I was crying that I didn't have any opportunities. So I'm suggesting to you that if you put both of those excuses, past, present, past and future, and all of that pressure, and come back to thinking there is an opportunity somewhere. And so my question is, where are you giving yourself permission or not giving yourself permission to actually look for the opportunity and to perhaps be grateful for the opportunities that you do have in front of you that you are not giving yourself permission to look at? So that in itself is right there in front of you, and I'll challenge you on that. So the thing is, being present is a real thing. And so if you want to reduce that resistance, it is to give yourself permission to move from that space of survival thinking where I've gotta, I need, I have to. Move out of that, because that is focusing on lack. So that's point number one, which then leads into point number two, which is, okay, how do I do that, Bernadette? Or what does that kind of lead to? And it leads to the ability for us to shift that language, yes, but also to shift that whole, when you move into this kind of, and I'm kind of going like here, like present, like not there, but here, and you start to focus, you understand, okay, my human needs, my survival needs are being met, period. Okay, I got food, I got air, I got shelter, they're being met. I'm not going to die. What do I focus on? I focus on what I want. Okay, I want to focus on what I want. I want to focus on opportunities. But here's the thing. Most of us have grown up where our wants have been suppressed. Like, I want a new pair of shoes. No, you're not going to get a new pair of shoes. I want to play. I want to play the sports that I want to play. No, you're going to play the sports that I played when I was a child and I was the top in cricket or whatever, and you're going to be like your father and you're going to be the team captain. Or it's like, I'm at school. Please, I want to go to the bathroom. No, you'll go when I tell you need to go. Money, I want to earn money. No, money's the root of all evil. So we grow up wanting these things, but our wants are suppressed. And so what we do there is we actually swap the wants and we move them to needs. And then we meet those wants through needs. We then become a people pleaser, or we become a protector, or we become the provider, and we meet our wants through needs. And so as a result, that's how we meet those wants. And as a result of that, if you're coming to the table and you're wanting outcomes, but you're basing it on a need, like I need it, I need that deal, I need my people to make their numbers, I need, and it's actually disguised as a want, then you are going to be exuding an energy that is actually going to block opportunities. So you are going to be like a boulder in a river where the water is going to go around you, because who wants to be attracted to somebody whose energy is all about get? Because I need. It's scarcity, because it's based on survival. And so I want you to think for a moment that if you are a sales leader and you are projecting pressure on your team, then your team are going to be like that water going right around the boulder, and you're either going to have your team lying to you, or you're going to lose top talent. And so when you can swap, and there's ways to do that, your need for wants, then there's this entire new energy, and you are going to start to attract the right kind of people, but you're also going to attract opportunities, and you're going to invite the opportunities in because you will be in a space to receive those opportunities. I hope that makes sense, because, it's a matter of lowering that resistance. And so a year ago, and I've shared this before, is I was at a point with my business where I just was not happy, and it just wasn't happening for me. And so I knew that what I was projecting wasn't working, and it wasn't working for me. And so I completely lost the attachment to the outcomes. And luckily I have such a supportive husband, and he said, okay, you do what you feel you've got to do. And so I lost the attachment. Now here's the thing. For you to be able to move into, and I'm doing this for those listening, I'm actually kind of creating a visual here. It's kind of like a space of neutrality. So you're either, you're not that extreme, or you're not the other extreme. There's this space of neutrality where you can come into a space where you have no attachment to the past or the future, or you have no attachment to outcomes. And in this space of neutrality, you are not needing anything, you want. And so when you're in this space of neutrality, it doesn't mean that you are not interested in anything. It doesn't mean that you're apathetic. It just simply means that you're okay with a yes or a no. And when you have that energetic flow, then that energy, that flow, creates a win-win scenario. It creates a win-win for the leader and their team, and it creates a win-win for you as a salesperson and your buyer, and it creates a win-win for you and anybody else that you're with. And so it's this whole ability for you to be able to let go of that need to get and to have and to need. So I guess what I wanted to share today, especially if you're a leader and you're not making your number, and you are identifying, or you are hand on heart, you're saying, you know what, I am really, really feeling the pressure, and I know other people are picking up on it. Then I want you to give yourself permission to acknowledge that and to say, okay, I want to be able to lose the attachment. Yes, I'm not losing the responsibility of making the numbers. I don't have a magic wand. However, I'm going to bring myself into this space of neutrality and being completely present to the moment. And when I'm present to the moment, I am more in a space of tapping into what I want. And when I tap into what I really want, that's when creativity kicks in. And it's the creativity that I can then sit down with my team and we can co-create together. And there's a different vibe and new ideas come out and imagination kicks in and curiosity kicks in. That is what we want. And so that is simply by you replacing need with want. Now, it's really interesting because I was reading that Richard Branson. So Richard Branson was when he was at school, was he dyslexic? He was bullied. He was told that he was a failure. And so what he did is, and he was really rebellious. So what he did is he switched that whole need around and switched it to a want. He wanted to go out into the world and he wanted to build this business and a whole philosophy of life on curiosity and play. And look at him now. That's his whole philosophy of life. Steve Jobs was such a control freak. His whole basis, his whole need was this need for control. And he got sacked from his company, went to Pixar and came back and all of that. Then he moved into this want for creativity. And look what happened. So both of those examples, and I think that's where my journey's taken me, is this need to actually go out and find sales training. It's not about that. For me, it's this desire to actually work with sales leaders and their teams to help them want to move forward and get in the right space to become more influential. And so that can only happen when you move from this need to this area of want. And so when you can do that, you actually step up your standards and you go, it's like you do you, it's you do you. So just remember that when any form of need runs the show, then you've got resistance that is actually controlling the room. And so any form of resistance, when you feel any form of resistance, then tap in and realize that, okay, there's a circumstance, a situation happening. I'm feeling resistance. It's got nothing to do with the situation. It's me, and it's a need that I have. What is the need that I have? And take responsibility for the need. So that will help you get this whole win-win energy, and that is going to help you invite opportunities in, so long as you're willing to receive it. So a little bit deep today, but it's all around wants and needs. And my encouragement for you, if you want to go deeper, and I would encourage you to do that, up on the screen is a link. It's a direct link to thank you very much for that, Jason. Decision-making strategies. Now, this is metacoding. I'm giving you an access here to these hidden decision drivers. Yes, it's for leaders. And yes, it's for you to help lead your team. There are a number of these metacode drivers, but it's also for your salespeople to actually help sell out there in the marketplace as well. So I'm going to give you access to that. It's deciding what and how people make decisions, can help them with their purchasing, with the selling, with the buyers. Highly encourage you. It's a lesson out of my Mastering Influence. Also attached there is the Coach Seller AI. So you've got an AI coaching tool in there as well. So knock yourself out with that. It's great value. Go to that link. I'll put it in the show notes as well. And In the meantime, share with me what you think. Share with me any other ideas you want me to share on this show. And I look forward to sharing some more ideas with you this time next week. And in the meantime, continue to lead with soul, spirit, and definitely spine. Have an amazing week. Share, like, and subscribe. We'll speak to you this time next week. Bye for now.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching the Sales Leader of Influence show with your host, Bernadette McClellan. See you next Wednesday live at 5 o'clock Eastern.